Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. And again today I'm going to be just losing myself in the French garden. So I finished the roses, which you would have seen a picture go up at the end of that video where I just added those few extra on the two vines going up. So really happy with that. I have considered still adding these little guys, like the little circle cut out of the sari silk. I'm just not sure, where did it get to here? I might just stitch one on, and if it looks good, just to sort of make it look interesting, sort of break it up a little bit. So after I finished filming, I stitched on those last few, I think it was about 4, maybe 5. Tidied up that loose thread on that crocheted flower, and then I saw this little circle still sitting there, and I considered whether I should make a little rosette-y daisy like, well, not daisy, like just a circle with a bead in it. Let's be honest, let's try not to give it a name that it is not. It's just a circle of sari silk with the little bead going to the inside of it. It's a tiny detail, and at the end of the day I don't think anyone's really going to notice it unless they really start studying the piece, but I sort of like that too, that when you glance at work you see the overall story. Then the more you look, the more you see. And if you're not pushed for time, sometimes it's nice to add those little details. And I'm not pushed for time. We've still got a few weeks left of the project. I feel like I'm on top of them all. Yeah, I sort of do like that. It's like a second vine is growing in there. Where's my little scissors? Here we go. I did not plan to do this, you know, on this video. I wanted to do the stitching of the flower further down that hasn't been embellished yet. There's a bit of work there, so I really need to get that done. Now it looks like I'm putting sari silk circles everywhere. Ow. I might bend it up. Is that going to look like a tulip? Looks like a little rosebud now. Do like that. Probably like that better than the first one I did. Let's just get a bead now at the base of it and see what that looks like. So one is just an open circle with the bead in the center. Oh, I could do a line of beads. No, doesn't need that. It does look cool. Ow. Oh, these bead needles, they're so sharp, and I feel cold and clumsy today. I don't feel warm and agile. Is that a good description? Oh, I like that. So we've got a little bead at the base of the circle that's been clustered together. You see what I mean? I've sort of tuliped the cluster. I think that one will be too late to do. I might be able to. Hang on. Hold that thought. We're done. So it's like a little tussle of fabric. That'll be pretty through the whole thing. It will soften that whole vine, having these little random pieces. Okay, so we'll come up down below this rose. We'll do another one, so just jab myself 3 times just doing that one. So we cut ourselves a little circle, probably 1/4 inch. And then squish it up a little bit, nearly fold it into a cone so it looks very textured. And in that bottom edge, oh yeah, I like that. Continue with the little stitch, and then to secure it all down, catch a bead in the process. I've been thinking about that bit that I don't like over underneath the path, and I've worked out what it is that I don't like, and I'll show you. So I don't need to pull it undone because I've figured out what the problem is and why it just didn't look right. So there's 3 little beads in place. Now I might come up a little bit higher here. I'll just do a little stitch to anchor myself. And let's do another one. These are all those little details that really make your work sing. I know it's time consuming and you think, oh, I'm finished there, that's enough. But it's, yeah, these little bits. Okay, so a rough little circle, so I'm folding it in half and then in half again to get this little folded pie-shaped piece of a circle. Then with my very fine bead needle, I'm able to secure that. So it looks like a flower bud that hasn't yet turned into the rose because they're so similar in colour. Don't really know what the bead looks like, but anyway, I like it. So I've now put in 2 little stitches to hold the fabric, and I can pick up the little bead. There we go. At least that gets me that little bit of shimmer that I lost when I decided to change the windowsill planter boxes. So there we go. Just a little smattering. You probably can't see, but see how there's just there's 4 there now. So I might end that off, and I will be able to scatter. I better turn my phone on silent in case someone calls me because I'm busy. So what I will do is do that through that whole piece. Talk about create more work just when you think you're finished. Now I'm just thinking, I wonder if I could still do the beads in the flower boxes that I had planned to a couple videos ago. Let's just turn the phone off, girl, before something comes through. Let's get these little pink beads back and decide whether we do a little pink bead. Once again, more work. Is the pink bead the right colour? Yeah, beautiful. I like that. It'll just give us a little bit of interest through the flowers. Bit of shimmy on the house. So I'll just pop a few more on. I'll come to the centre of those flowers. See, just that those two little details being added to that, it's probably added another 2 hours work to my day. For goodness sakes. And I was hoping to move on from the house, but no, we're still at the house. It'll be worth it. It'll be so worth it. I'm just going to catch another little bead there. I might finish this sill. How are we going for time? 10 minutes, that's all right. We'll get this little window sill done. And I want to also start stitching or painting the flowers with thread further down, and I want to address that odd little spot because I think I know what I need to do there. The other thing is I've got another one of these big flowers that I need to find a home for, so I want to make sure that lands on the piece, being that we're doing the theme of flowers. And I've got some little scrappy bits of fabric that haven't yet found a home that were planned for the side. So I want to get them stitched on. It's really about bringing the piece home now. I think we still have 2 prompts, don't we? Maybe 3. So I've got time. It's amazing how quickly the time goes and you think you have time. Oh yeah, look at that. I love that. Okay, I can finish that thread off. So where's my little tray of goodies that go to the couch for stitching? My homework tray. So let's put the lid on them before we have homework picking up beads all over the floor. Grab a little tray. That's definite, and I'll need that. So there we go. We've got a little cluster of beads just meandering through the window boxes, and I'm going to work little tufts of that sari silk with a bead in each one through that whole vine just to give it a little bit more interest. Now, this here, I like the vine. What I don't like is where the two meet. See how it looks unfinished? I think that's the problem. So I've got to come up with something there. So what could we do? I've still got my flowers. I've still got my flowers here. Is there something we could do a cluster or something? Those there would suit. That guy there matches that silk that I used. So what's the story with this piece? Yeah, it's a bit lolly-ish, isn't it? But I do like the flowers. I think, how are they attached? They're usually just glued on, these little guys. Yeah, it is. And I like that there's a little pearl. Can I separate it, or is it stitched? No, it's glued. Okay. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to drift some of these 3-dimensional flowers. I wonder if I put a bit more hessian in too. See, we've got hessian over here. There we go. Yeah. Just needs a little bit more interest created. So if we drift a few of them onto there, like they're part of another vine meeting a vine. Some tiny ones on this. Look at those itty bitty guys. Wonder if we could marry them into it as well. Oh yeah, now we're talking. It's sort of creating more of a interesting collage of different sized little flowers. So it's sort of holding its own through there. So there's 3 more. To get him off as well. So if I get another one of these guys, take him from the end, we bring that in here. And then what I might be able to do is come back through with this thread that I use for leaves and just pop a few leaves in there, whether they'll stand out because there's this darker fabric. But I feel like that actually has more impact. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Now what I might do is I'm going to just pin them for a moment, because the moment I pick that up, and that might be harder than I think, I can just catch them. I can then come back through the thread. And these little guys here, they don't actually have anything in the center of them, so I might be able to then put a little bead in them as well, or a French knot. Just to sort of blend it, maybe a French knot of that colour. Now I've got a big leaf there, I don't want to cover that. Just give everything its space. Yeah, that's heaps better. That was the original prompt wildflowers. And I started this little viney ground cover. And then I got sidetracked onto something else. And I've always looked at it and thought it just didn't quite look like a ground cover to me. So I'm pleased we've nutted that out. And these little 3-dimensional pieces is just what that space needs to give it a bit of bulk. And then the fabric in behind has that ground cover sort of feel. I might drift that little guy over there, and that way if I put a leaf in here, it's got a bit of space. There we go. I'm happy now, guys. It's funny how spots bug you. So the pins are holding that. Yep. I'll just put another pin there. I'd hate to move it and it all just falls to bits. Yeah. I think it was because you could see where the crochet element finished and then this little scrap of fabric started. Yeah. Very good. I'm happy with that. I know it probably doesn't look much to you guys, but sitting here, I feel like we've got a flow happening down through these flowers, and then it peters out with this little vine, which leads into the next part of the story. Yeah. Happy with that. Now, the other thing I wanted to do is I've got these bits and bobs here left. Now they were earmarked for the side. See where I'm coming up with just random patches. So I won't do anything through here because that's the last 2 prompts. But what I want to do is start the process of working down. Oh, the piece is so big and delicate. I just want to start working the top here. See how we've got a bit of collaging happening through here? It's like I've got the calico piece peeking out from the linen piece, and I ended up plans I would be, you know, just having a linen edge, but I really like how it's created a background and then the actual panel. So then I've just started sort of laying fabric throughout the piece as well. So I'm very patchy, as if it's been sort of patched together out of scraps, and then as you head down the garden, it's sort of becoming my border, is what I'm trying to say. So I just want to pin some of these patches on and get my borrow stitch and my running stitch sort of started. There's no rhyme or reason, it's just piecing together a bit of a border of interest with layers of fabric. So no rhyme or reason. Now I have that flower as well, so we might include him up in this corner because his mate is down here. So there's his mate. Oh, you can't even see it. There's his mate there. So it's all part of this piece here. So I'm thinking of doing maybe there, or do I connect that? No, I think I want to drift. I like my red stripe. I think I'm going to put him there. So he still looks like he's part of that panel. Take a coat off. I'm starting to feel quite warm. Now this little piece. I don't mind the randomness of patches everywhere, but I do like them touching occasionally. It sort of connects the eye. Like that there, it sort of bounces off of that. And then what I'll do is just, like on the other side, running stitch in my cream thread. And then if I come across any more scraps that have been rolling around in my desk and my bucket, I'll get them stitched down. There's another one. I think that's come from another project. It works, so let's get that little guy a home. Because I've had a few projects in these tones, it sort of allows you to coordinate really easily because you've got these, I'm going to pop him up there, you've got these little bits and pieces around. I wonder if I can see any more. Oh, I've got a mess, guys. You do a couple days of filming and before you know it, you've got a mess. If I can get everything back into the original container. So still haven't found a home for that last little bit of thread from that Anne Brooks needle book kit I purchased. I've got another container here, for goodness sakes. Get everything together. Now you're watching me tidy my desk. This is what happens, isn't it? There might be a piece of fabric in underneath all this that I can... Some of these I just haven't used. I pulled out on day one. It's funny how that happens. You put together a collection of colours and threads and elements, and then you get to the end of the project and you're like, oh, didn't even use it. Just wasn't quite what you wanted. There's even a bit of ribbon. There's the cream I need. Let's leave that out. I'm going to need that for that stitching down. Okay, blue. What the hang did that come from? All right. I feel like I'm in control now. See, another skerrick of something that was off of a bobbin. All right, another container empty. So we're down to one container. Let's get these put away because we've delved enough into that. So now I'm tidying my desk. I'm supposed to be stitching. I know I'll feel better at the end of it. What do we got here? Can I get a circle out of that before I go and waste that little morsel into the bin? Look, I can cut another little circle. That's to go over there. I know a lot of yous all have Ort jars with has all your scraps of bits in it. I don't have one. I started one and it just got huge so quickly and I was like, gosh, I don't need it in my life. So I'm not a girl that has one. If I find that I need some threads to create texture into something like a bird's nest and that, I'll just go to the threads that I actually want to use and create pieces that I can lay down and sort of get what I need. Otherwise, the amount of stitching I would do, my Ort jar, so I end up getting 3 just out of that scrap. Let's stitch them down. Where's the needle and thread gone? Here we go. And the thread. Let's get those 3 little guys down. So it's a bit of an all over the place video. That's leftover thread from the door frames. So we can get rid of that. I know it should have gone into an Ort jar, but as I said, I've got enough scraps without creating containers of scraps. Oh boy. So my little circle, I fold in half and fold a half again to get that little point. So we might pop him there. Let's get the needle and thread in behind. Oh, I hope the next piece I create, oh, lost the thread. I hope the next piece I create for the Roxy Journal of Stitchery is smaller. This piece has just been epic, but it won't be. You know what'll happen. You know me by now. It has been good to have the space to manoeuvre. Like I've enjoyed making the smaller versions of Down the Garden Path. Don't get me wrong, I love those strips. But I do feel like this has been an epic journey. But I do love the piece that I've ended up with. And because we have time, like the 6 months, it's very achievable to do a big piece. So I guess if you're out there and you've done a strip like something on the bobbin and you want to have a go at something a little bit bigger, don't be afraid, because you've got time to pace yourself, and if you do a little bit each week, before you know it, you've just embroidered a big panel. So I highly recommend it. Even though I'm like, oh gosh, do I need this work? Of course I do. Of course I do. So awkward to stitch, but I'm just going to take my time. I'm going to put another one there. So I've just brought it up where I want it. Now I'm going to fold my little circle in half and in half again to get that little pie shape. Like, I'm sure you can't even see what I'm doing. You're thinking, gee, girl, is this necessary? No. Does it look cool? Yes. It doesn't take much, but it is a bit fiddly. It's the detail, isn't it? It's Pepper Peach once again. Okay, so now I'm going to scoot back through the work just with a couple jump stitches, little invisible stitch, but then jumping back down here, and I'm going to put the last one down there underneath that rose. So I fold it in half, half again to get that little pie-shaped piece. Then into there, little tuft, a bud. I think that's what we decided to call it yesterday, didn't we? Little bud. Okay, there we go. So that little scrap now, oh my goodness me, where is the thread got to? There it is. No. There it is. So what have I done here? That's previous threads. I should be tidying up my thread, shouldn't I, guys? Messy girl. Is that it there? That's it. I might just anchor it off. But I'm going to bring it through to the front where I would want it for the next little bud. Which I'm thinking probably up there. Let's just get our needle maybe at the end of this little. Do we do another one? I feel like we're on a roll. We've cleaned up our desk. We've got a plan. Got some little pink beads to go in the window box flowers. We've got this weird bit over to the side here planned out with some little elements. So I guess I can do a couple more little it's not exactly a circle, so we're just going to fold it the once and catch it down. It's as simple as that. Okay. Lovely. There's another one. Just put an extra stitch through just so that bead, oh goodness, is nice and strong. You're probably sick of seeing me stitching around this area. I might leave it at that and we'll go elsewhere, because I'm sure you've got the general feel of what I'm doing there. So the other spot that needs a little bit of attention some flowers around. Did that not? No, it didn't. See, bullet a gate. I'm off to another area, and I haven't really finished knotting this. Especially with beading, you've got to make sure it's nice and strong. It's not like we're wearing the clothes, but so you probably can get away with a little bit more lax behaviour. Okay, let's put that beading away. Lid on the beads. Gonna need that. Gonna need that, and I'll need that and that. Okay. So the other spot that needs some work, which we could probably start next, is back down here where the little bird was. See how these flowers are here? I stitched the branch and the leaves, but I never got back to finish those flowers, and I really want to do something in there. Now, they have been stitched elsewhere once before down here, so I certainly have had a play with this flower, and there's a few here, so I'd really like to embroider all that. Now, if you recall, I got some threads from Melanie, a couple bundles full, and I've put them all in here in one bag because I haven't yet added them to my actual stash. And I thought, oh, maybe there's some pinks in here I could use, because I'm thinking I'm going to do all wool this time. I was sort of looking to get a different effect. So there's a cream wool. That's a good size skein, isn't it? I don't think it's Appleton like the others. Oh yeah, it is 991. Gee, they come in bigger skeins. I don't know what that is. It could be, and there's a few threads coming out of it, so I don't know what that is. But anyway, and we could probably do with a darker pink. Maybe we do that one. It's a bit of a contrast. So let's put these away. See, there's another pink there. I do have a pink already out, don't I? No. I sort of wanted something a bit brighter, a bit fresher. I think that's a good start. So I need a thimble. That's what we need. My finger is getting so sore. I was doing something and the needle was really fine and it took a few gouges out of me. So now I've got a bit of a tender finger. So I need to protect it for a few days, I think. All right, listen to me complaining as if it's going to stop me. I don't think so. I sort of think that's a fresher pink. Let's have a little look. Got plenty of time to nut out our colour scheme. So let's wind that back on. I really need to put these onto the bobbin thingamajiggers, the little cardboard bobbins. Let's grab some out before we get into a hang of a mess. I think you'll recall I get these from Amazon, packs of 50 or 100. They're not cheap, but boy, they're good. And you can get a few different colours onto the bobbin. I know I was sorting some Steph Francis threads, and they're those skeins where you get numerous different sort of threads. You get numerous threads, so to have a little bobbin of that size that can hold all of them from one Steph Francis. I don't know why I'm bothering keeping the colour code and that. I'm not that precise, so I'd probably just go and find something similar and match it in. Plus they change their numbers a little bit. They decrease their range, increase their range, so it's probably a bit of wishful thinking on my part that I could match a colour that's come from a pack from Melanie that could have come from an estate that's 10-year-old, you know. All right. Once again, it's awkward to get in there. So what I'm doing is I'm aiming for the dark colour elements. So we'll do this guy here. I've double threaded it to just make it nice and bulbous for us, or chunky. And that should fill the petals in really quickly. So I've only got 20 minutes, so we'll just focus maybe on this one flower to get our colour palette right. So I'm just going to do a selection of long stitch, short stitch. Now last time I did green beads in the centre, I think. Yeah, green beads in the centre. So I might do something different this time. I sort of want my flower to look a little bit different. Same base, but completely different. The other one had a very mauve tone to it. I'm going to put a little stitch at the top of that petal because the colour changes there. There's probably a crease so the darkness can be seen just a little bit. Might do it again, get that V. I've lost my thimble on the other side, so that poor old finger is about to get a jab or two again. Now I'm just going to pop up over here. I might zoom in because I feel like I'm comfortable and you guys will be able to see. Get that hand in there. So I'm just putting a few little strokes of ink or thread over here as we paint our little flower. And you don't have to follow the designer's strokes. You can certainly go your own way, but I'd probably stay fairly close to it because the person that's created this little print has obviously thought about light and darkness on the flower. So I'm going to sneak down this side of the petals. Yeah, they've thought that the bottom of this petal, the bottom edge of this petal would be slightly shaded compared to the light bouncing up here in that section. So I'm just literally following. I've wanted to paint these flowers for weeks. Same with that house. I'm so pleased I've got a week free, and I thought, well, if I'm going to lose a bit of time going over to Paris, I was sort of getting a little bit concerned that we'd get to the finish line and I still had a heap to go. So to hear that it was the prompt, I'm now jumping down to the next petal. To hear the prompt was flowers, I thought, beauty. I'm going to get in amongst the house and this, plus finish that little piece off here. It's so much better. So I'm just sneaking around this flower. Let's get myself back into position. It should be quite punchy in colour because of this. Oh, I hope you can't hear my stomach grumbling. I had some breakfast, for goodness sakes. Might leave it at one more stitch. Oh, you can't even see. I'm sorry, I'm pulling it to myself so I can see. That's better. Could do with a curved stitch back here, but I'll catch that on the next. Let's get over to this petal. I've only got 5 minutes left, but I think we'll get enough done that I can at least carry on. Or do I come back in another video and carry on with you guys? I know I'll get a lot of comments of people who want to see this painting in of flowers. So I might do that, guys. I'll come back. I feel like I'm rushing and I don't want to make a poor decision on my colour palette. Yeah, that's really good. I can get the curve there coming up that petal. Now, that's enough of that colour on that flower. I'm going to jump over here and just do a few little stitches on this little guy. While we're there, then what I might do is we'll finish off this. That's about all it needs. I'm going to, I could do with a few stitches there. That little flower is a little bit up in the air. I'm going to finish this thread off and then I'm going to stay with the colour. We'll jump down to another flower. Just knot that while we're there. Let's go back. Now, instead of changing to another colour, we'll do that in the next video, but we know what we're working with at least. Let me grab another container. And the next video, we will really get into these. But while I've got some time, I've only got a little bit of thread. Let's do a little bit of stitching around this centre, prepping this flower ready for some more. There's only a little bit of that dark. So let's just scoot around there. I think I'll probably do pearls in the centre of it because we've got this pearl here and that little rosette. We might carry the more elegant pearl look into these little cherry blossoms. We'll call them cherry blossoms because I think that's sort of what they're meant to be. So you can see this centre has only got a little bit of the red. It's really simple. If you haven't had a go at finding yourself a floral print and adding it to a piece, even if it's just on a piece of calico or muslin, just as a practice, just do it, guys. It is so much fun. If you want some inspiration, have a look at Fleur Wood's work. She does a lot with bright colours and then she'll get numerous floral elements and piece it all together and then stitch away. And she'll not only stitch the flower, she starts working in all the background around the flower so that the entire piece becomes a heavily stitched display, and they're just beautiful. There is hours of work in that, just hours. Hopefully I can get into one of her classes later in the year, sort of the second half of the year, and you do a piece with her, but I'm going to have to do it via whatever medium it is, Zoom or, you know, where you all log in. I don't know how she does it, whether we do it once a month or once a week, and not sure. But by the time you finish the course, you get to the end and you've completed the whole piece. I've signed up for notification for the second half of the year. I believe Rachel from Roxy Creations, well, of course you know who Rachel is because you're watching this video. Rachel did the piece and a few other ladies that watch my channel joined in, and they have spoken so highly of the course. So I put my name down, and it'd be just really cool to have my style broadened a little. You know what I mean? You get very familiar with the way that you lay your threads down, and to have an artist like Fleur come along and say, well, you could do this and you could do that and you could do that, I just know she'll blow my brain. So I really want to get in amongst that and sort of learn a few new things. I do have a course coming up too at the end of June with the Forage Girls, Lisa Maddock and Lara, down in Victoria too. So I'm really looking forward to, I'm going to grab some more of that same pink. We're going to stay on that and just finish stitching some of these dark tones. And I'll work those other colours in the next video. Yeah, I've got, at the end of June, I will be down in Melbourne for 4 days to join in on a class there. And there's sort of 2 days with Lisa and then another 2 days with another artist who is from the UK, who's come out to run this workshop. I cannot think of her name at the moment. It's been a little while since I booked the tickets, and I probably need to get the brochure out and have a little look. I know it's very fine embroidery. Very, very fine. So it'll be really interesting to see the different techniques you can use to get really delicate work. And I think a lot of it is French knots, colonial knots, and layers of little stitches. But I'm not 100% sure of the project. I just know the artist's work. I've had a look at some of the imagery, and she does heaps of kits and things. So it looks very interesting. Might be another rice bag where I put the piece on the side of a rice bag. And you guys can't see. I've just looked up to the camera. Keep drifting towards myself. So that colour there is all the same, but I'm going to stop, I think, at that, and then work another pink in there. Okay, so now we're down here. You see how reasonably quick it is. There's only 1 stitch is enough there. Come over to the bottom of this little flower. Put a couple little stitches here. That's why I know I love the Fleur Woods course, because it's right up my alley. Piecing, collaging together fabrics, over stitching it. What it's going to make me do is think outside the flower. Like Fleur would stitch, like I was just saying, right in around all of that. And I don't usually do that. I sort of tend to just follow the image. So in the process of doing that, you're pretty much creating a brand new piece. I might leave it at that. I like the shape of that. Probably could have put a few up through there. I might go back there. I've got a bit of thread left, I can feel. So I'm going to finish this off, and I'm going to scoot back to that flower and just put a few more stitches. And as part of my homework, yeah, see, I can just do, I will come over to that cluster of flowers behind the bird's bottom and get a bit of this dark thread in there, so I'm ready for tomorrow's video where I can I like that. See, there's shade here from the flower above, because it's not really a full flower, this little guy. So I can sort of see what the artist is trying to do there. This one sits above, and I think once I stitch that white in there, it will really look like this little flower's tucked in under. So I just needed that little bit of colouring there. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so I still have a bit of thread left. We still have 5 minutes. So let's shimmy the piece over, and I want to have a look in here. Okay, I don't have a lot of thread, so I might work up in this bud. We'll start at the top and we'll drift down. So let's put a couple stitches up here. Like so. That's it. I might be able to get a couple stitches here. I don't have a lot of length left, but if I can get 2 little stitches there, that's obviously picking up a bit of shade from the bud above. That's probably it. I think I've come to the end of my opportunities there with that thread. Now, still have time. So let's knot up again. And I'm going to drift down a little bit further and see what we can do. Let's get my hand in under there. So we've got a little bit of darkness there from the bud above. So let's get a few little stitches in. It's very quick when you do double the thread and you're using a wool. You get quite a quick, bulky texture with your stitches, and it just makes the flowers really sing. Gee, sounds like I've got a sales pitch going here, hey? Okay, I think that's all I would want there. So now I'm going to drop down to the side of that petal. Put just 1 stitch there. Now I'm going to scoot to the other side. Oops. Got my hands flying everywhere here. Going to go across to there. I might just do a wrap because it's quite a solid little bit of pink there. I need to change the angle. And then I'll come down into there. And then I might just sneak around that top edge. That'll be the last stitch, but some tiny little stitches around that top edge. That's it. You don't want to lose the shape of your little flower, and when they're little like this, you've got to be a little bit careful. All right, now I'm going to jump across to in there and just lay down some stitches. Now that nearly looks like it's tucked in behind the nest, definitely throwing a shadow from the bird. So I'll just sneak through there with a few stitches. And I'm running out of thread. Doesn't go far, does it? We're nearly there. We're coming up to the hour, so that's good. I might just back that stitch back to a little guy again and not the whole petal. It is fairly quick. Then I might sneak down to here, and I hope I've got just enough thread that I can lay a few stitches in here. I may not, might be pushing it. They're nearly not seen, but we know they're there. I think I'll just get it. Oh, there is a little bit out there. Yeah, I'm not going to make it. I'd rather get that little bit extra. Let's grab a tiny bit more, guys. Won't need much. I'm going to make you wait to the end. I want to finish this and then I will be back. I know I've promised you a French fabric themed project next, which will be the Japanese rice bag. But I think there's one more video here just to tidy up this piece and then I'll be ready for the next prompt. Okay, so it was like 2 little stitches, like I'm being finicky, but now I can get out here and catch this guy on the end. It's all those little strokes that really make a difference. I've got a little bit of thread left, so I might just sneak back in here and just pop a few little random stitches. It'll help make the eye think that the flower is definitely behind that rosette, and then I'll get rid of the last of it. Could get one more stitch. Be great. Yep, beautiful. Okay, let's knot that off and we're there. So that's the dark elements done of that little flower space. Really knotting this off, aren't I? Okay. So, where did we get to? I might just zoom up just a bit. So our dark bits are done. So next video we'll work out the remaining little pieces. I will get that stitched down and I will also get this corner, these pieces all stitched down too, ready for sort of working my way down that edge of my panel. Yeah, love it. It's coming together. Great. So I will leave my threads for tomorrow and I just need this to finish off my bits and pieces. All right, everyone, have a great day and I will see you all in the next video. Bye for now.